Hello, and welcome to the Witch Source. I'm Whitney,
And I'm Courtney.
and we are the Witch Source. And thank you for listening to another episode. We are doing the episode this week on basically sifting through magical doubt. And we had a request to do this episode.
We did.
Yes, we did. So, yeah, that's why we're doing this one. But I think it's important because I think a lot of witches, especially new witches, struggle with this. And I think witches who even maybe have been practicing a long time that maybe take a break from practicing or, just fall out of practice for a while and then come back to it, probably experience this as well.
I could see that. Do you have any doubts?
Not anymore. I think early on I did, when I first started practicing. Well, and as I was learning too, I just felt unsure about what I was doing in general. And that led to, quite a bit of doubt. Just not being sure if I was doing the right thing.
Right. So what did you do to get rid of your self-doubt or the doubting?
Honestly, I strengthened my connection with spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I started meditating daily, and that made for a very strong connection with spirit. And after I would meditate, I would journal. And then all of that also strengthened my psychic abilities. So after I would meditate, I would journal about what had, happened during the meditation. And I would find myself asking questions when I was journaling, and the answers would start to come in. They would start to drop in. So then it almost became like, in a way, kind of like automatic writing, because I would write down exactly as I would hear it. And so there was a lot of you versus I when I was journaling.
Okay.
The answers. And through doing that, it just strengthened everything for me, my connection, my psychic abilities, my intuition. So then the more I practiced, a lot of stuff became intuitive. And then I started having some really cool results, which of course I journaled on those as well. So I'd have them to come back to when doing, when I would have like low moments, I could go back to it and be like, oh yeah, that really cool experience happened. And that really cool experience happened. And, just built a journal of connection and conversations and results. And it really started to make a really big difference for me in my magical confidence. And from that, I started to care less about if I was doing it right, if I had, the right words or the right candle color or the right ingredients. And I cared less about that. And I cared more about the connection. And then through strengthening my psychic gifts, I developed a really strong connection with energy, to where I could feel energy, I could see energy, I could sense energy. So at that point, all of my spells really became about the energy, feeling spirit present, feeling the elements come near, and being able to really feel into the spell and the magic I was doing, and also feel into the energy of its completion and of it happening, to where I could put myself at a point in time where I could see, sense, and feel the results. Even if I didn't know how or necessarily when, I felt very confident that it was going to happen. Like there was just this a surety within my own being that it was going to happen, and there was no swaying me away from that. And at that point, I just gave gratitude for it, um, and basically forgot about it and walked away and really didn't, think about it too awfully much. Unless I got a hit to do the spell again or to push the energy again. Again, all of that being intuitive. But otherwise, I pretty much let it be, and then it would happen.
Okay. I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying. So, have you ever done the work, the magic, the spells, put the intentions out there and get discouraged by it not happening?
Yeah,
By
absolutely.
it seeming not to work?
Yes, absolutely.
What do
Sometimes
you
I wasn't,
do?
well, okay, so sometimes I wasn't waiting long enough for the spell to work.
Mhm.
Um, like I remember a spell I did 2 years ago. No, longer than that. I guess it was 3 years ago. And, it took, I don't know, at least 2 years for it to manifest, to happen,
Okay.
and
Right.
for me to realize that it happened.
Mm.
Um, so, and then there's been other times that I have done, spells and magic for things. And in the end, I was happy it didn't work.
You got something better in the end than what you had asked for?
Right. Right. Um, so that's
But you
that's a
say
lot
it
of it.
all right, but you say at the end of your cells at the end of your spells when you're doing your work, you know, for the best intentions, so, so mote it be along, something along those lines, right?
This or something better. This or something greater.
All right. So you leave it open for something better to happen.
Right. And I also don't um I don't necessarily try to figure out the how it's going to happen. I leave
Mhm.
that very much open to spirit to do whatever it sees fit or has to do. So I don't, put spirit in a box and say it has to happen this way. So I leave it very open to all possibilities.
Right. Right. I think that when you narrow it down, I mean, if you were wanting, like, say, specific proof or, something like that, I could see people trying to narrow it down. But I do think that when you narrow it down, it could take longer, it could bog down, and, it may not work because that may not be what you're needing.
Right, right. I think that's the biggest thing is, I feel like spirit, God, goddess knows a whole lot better than we do of what we actually need and where we're meant to be on our path. And spirit knows the future, where we don't. So,
Right.
if I'm not staying open and trusting, and I think that I know, then, clearly I can screw up a lot of things and not meet this wonderful potential future that I'm meant to step into because I'm so worried about this particular spell working or it has to come out this way or I have to have this result. So we could really miss the mark. So I think a lot of times the spell work not necessarily working exactly how we expect it to is a good thing.
Now, do you do spell work for the big things, small things, everything in life? Or are you more of a you only do it when you need it? How often are you doing your craft?
Oh, that's a good question. So,
I thought
um,
so. And I do have answers to all of these questions that I'm asking. I
okay,
think it kind of lays down the foundation basis. I think it shows differences between us.
right.
So,
Okay, good. So you are going to come back and answer all these same questions.
yes.
Okay, cool. Um, so if I need help with small things, I'm asking spirit or goddess for help basically all throughout the day. Um, and I do try to do a little bit of ritual um, almost daily. So I
Mhm.
try to start the day with lighting my 2 candles here on my desk, which I think you've seen. And I set my intention for the day and I ask for help throughout the day. Um, and so I am doing that almost daily. And then for the larger things um, that I'm wanting to manifest or need help with, um, yes, I will do, you know, actual spell work for that. Um, so I'll go all out, candles, herbs, oils, all of that. Now, um, as far as actual ritual, I do reserve um, where when I'm actually casting a circle and doing full on ritual with calling the quarters and the elements and all of those things. I really try to reserve that for very special occasions. So
Mhm.
whether that's a holiday or, some type of moon magic that I'm doing, um, because doing that is extremely powerful. And I can feel the energy. I can feel the presence. And it almost feels like there's millions of beings or, individual type energies that start to surround and are like, holding witness to this ritual and are ready to assist. So I make sure I reserve those types of rituals either for, um, again, you know, holidays, giving, gratitude, or for something really big that I'm trying to manifest or work on. So, but yeah, I do try to at least do something daily, whether that's meditate or do the candles or both. um, and definitely if I'm working on, stuff for our business, for the Witch Source, I really do try to do those candles to really set the intention of what I'm doing for the business, to stay in alignment with the magic and the purpose and the intention of what we are doing, and the products that we are making. And um, even like when I do readings, I will light my candles and set those intentions. So I'm kind of doing magic all the time.
Okay. So, I mean, I feel like I am very similar. Um, um, so as to the first question, have I ever had doubt? Do I ever doubt? To be honest with you, I never really have. I think that's a difference between us. I was never concerned about getting things right. That's really
Mhm.
never been a priority of mine. If there was a
Right.
need, I did what I could. and I'd go from there.
Right.
But I was always putting the intention out there of what I wanted. Um, I think one of the bigger things is that I I feel like I have an open dialogue, um, where, I'm not saying always connected, because I know when you say connected, it doesn't feel that way for me. Um, I don't know if I'm always open, or, but I always feel like there's that open dialogue where I just ask for something, desire something, uh, and I mean, it's not always instantaneous, but, I don't think there's ever been anything that I've done or desired, wished, spelled for, that hasn't happened.
Right.
And some of the major, major things that I've done, um, I mean, it's, I mean, to name a few, you know, I I didn't do work for my husband, but I requested that the person that I was supposed to be with come to me. I
Same
did
here.
have thoughts. Yeah, I did have thoughts and desires of what I wanted the person to look like, the type of personality that I was attracted to. I kind of envisioned, you know, what I found attractive and what I desired, and just said, but I left it open, to please send me whoever I'm supposed to be with. And
Right.
it wasn't long after that, I met my husband.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Going to court. I know I've told you, um, when I was going to court over my divorce to get my children, I did spell work for that. And I mean, I woke up that morning and I just had that entire feeling of, mountains are going to be moved today. And I just woke up with that feeling, and I went into court, and, my mind was blown away. Um, because I got full custody of my children. My ex terminated his rights, and, that I was told that that would never happen, that pretty much that couldn't happen. I mean,
Right.
even the judge there in court said, I never allowed this. And he stated that numerous times. I never allow this. But in this instance, I'm going to make an exception. So, I
Right.
mean, big things were moved. Um, there, anytimes I've had money issues, money problems. I mean, it's been right around the corner, unexpected check showing up in the mail, right the same day that I needed it.
Right.
I've never gone without. I have always been taken care of. And when you
Yeah.
can look back over that history, over everything that's happened, how can you look and say that, you don't believe?
Now that I totally agree with, because that's one of the things I think about as well. Like when I'm stressed or worried or panicking about stuff,
Mhm.
especially in the past, like I would have to like just hit the pause and say, wait a minute, when have I ever gone without? When have things never worked out? When have I not been, okay? And there's not been a time. So I think if people can just stop and recognize that, that could definitely bring some level of confidence in something. Something is, looking out for you, working in your favor. So if you are now understanding and recognizing that, then why wouldn't it help you with something that you're actually asking for or taking the time and energy to put spell work into and make this request, as well as, you know, giving gratitude?
And I think giving gratitude is one of the biggest things. Having read, I read the law of attraction when I was going, in the middle of a divorce.
Mhm.
And, the biggest takeaway from reading that, pretty much in the lowest point of my life,
Mhm.
was to still have gratitude for what you do have. And uh, and I've kind of carried the philosophy that, I look around, I'm thankful for what I have. I am not concerned really about what I don't have. Um, and that negativity truly does breed negativity.
Yes.
Whereas positivity, if you are a negative person, all you're going to see around you is all of the negative.
Right.
Whereas if you change that mindset, you'll begin to see, all of the positive in your life. Be thankful for what you have, which changes that mindset
Right.
to, now you're seeing the positive, you're seeing the good. Um, and from that, you know, you're bringing in more good. So if you go in, I think if you go into things, if you go into your magic with the negative mindset, that's the intention that you're putting out there.
Right.
Your
Right.
magic and your spell works, that is your intention. The works that you put behind it, are you manifesting physically your intentions?
Well, and I think even if somebody goes into it with a positive intention, but yet
Mhm.
they have so much negativity within their aura and their energy field and in their mind, running in the background on autopilot, even if you have, really good positive intentions going into your magic, if you're not on some level holding on to that positive vibration and you're letting every other point of time in your life be consumed with negative except for when you're asking for something in ritual, it
Right.
doesn't matter how much positive you put into that ritual. If negative is ruling every other part of your life, it's not going to happen. And even if it does happen, you're probably not going to see it.
That's what I was going to say. You're in my head again. If you're so negative, you will probably not see the positive results from the work that you're doing.
Right.
I mean, and sometimes I think that it can take a while, for you to look back and see, oh, well, I did do the spell for that and I did get it. It did happen.
Yeah.
I think one of the things about, when my husband came into my life, when he did, I met him when I was going through my divorce. Um, and I always find it funny because, when he first met me, he asked me if I was crazy. And I said, I know he, first conversation on the phone with him, it was, I have three questions for you. And one of them was, am I crazy? To which, I answered completely honestly. And I said, well, yeah, but no more than anyone else. And I told him, I said, I am going through this divorce. Um, but I kind of live in a bubble at the moment where I'm not really looking at reality. Um, you know, right in the beginning when I'd left my husband because of, me trying to leave in a hurry, he had my kids. And because he had the kids when I moved everything out of the house, he got to keep the kids for a while. So I never told anyone that, he had temporary custody of the kids because that would be facing reality. I said, no, no, he's visiting with them. He's got visitation at the moment. I'll get my kids back soon. So, did I really know what was going on? I did. Did I change the reality in my mind and what I told people? Yes. So, I put a positive spin on a negative situation. Um, but then, being with I met him, right at the beginning of the recession. And, he had lost his job. I was the only one working. And, things were difficult. And, we were able to laugh at it. I remember him saying, he said he loved how we never fought over money. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. We don't argue over money. And he kind of started laughing and said, it's hard to argue over something that you don't have. And we were always joking. We were never serious, but always that joking and positive and putting, seeing silver linings in bad situations. So I think, changing the mindset, and everything did work out in the end. For me, I did get my kids back, even, in my crazy moment. I call it my bubble period. Um, when I met him, I was able to remove my bubble and, you know, look at reality because there was somebody who was positive with me,
Right.
looking into the future. So when you're doubting, look at the way, how are you going into it? What is your mindset?
Right.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, no, I agree. I mean, you definitely can't do spell work for something that you don't believe can actually happen. Um, and if you're a negative person, you're less likely to really believe in maybe the magic that you're doing, that you're
Right.
going into it with that doubt already there. And I think some of it also stems back to maybe some, general self confidence and self worth issues as well, potentially.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I could definitely see that. And I think that if you're not seeing the results, if you are having the doubts, go through and look, evaluate, where are you at? Why are you there? Why are you having those feelings? And maybe do some spell work for that.
Oh yeah, you can definitely do some spell work to just boost your self confidence, to boost your self worth. I mean, and
Mhm.
we're fixing, we are about to,
That southern coming out.
I know, release a candle jar spell kit, um, to help bring in that magical confidence and be a magical booster, as well as, help you open up to your magic and your gifts, your natural psychic gifts and abilities, um, and be a booster for your intuition. So there's that, so we know it's out there. We know it's a problem, and that some witches have, especially, um, if you've done spell work and you're not getting results and you're getting
Right.
frustrated, you know, I completely understand. So, and that's why we're working on, um, getting this made so that people, when it's all said and done, they have their little jar that they can shake up when they're needing that magical boost and that magical confidence to, remind them and remember, that they are powerful and, they are connected, they are taken care of, and just help them to stay positive and magical. And that's what your jar is. That's what any jar spell is for, is, to be that reminder for you to tap into that energy and shift whatever is going on inside of you.
Right.
So, yeah.
I would say always, yeah, start there. Shift your mindset, shift your energy, and then,
You
then
said
see where
something,
it takes you.
before we started recording about, banishing, what did you say?
Banishing the negativity.
I mean, yes, that's the thing. And we have a spell on YouTube under the spells playlist, for banishing negativity, and a few other things. But you can always tweak the wording in there to make it what you need it. So banishing the doubt,
Right. Yeah.
banishing the negativity, banishing the doubt, um, and banishing, you know, not believing in yourself or not believing in the magic, or, if you have, low self-esteem or question your worth, you can banish those things, as well. So you could definitely
But
tweak
look at, but then deep dive and do the shadow work to find out, why do you
it.
have the low self-esteem? Why do you have the self-doubt? What's going on in your life?
Right, exactly. And it that is brought up at the end of the spell video, that, you want to pay attention to what comes up for you over the next several weeks, as far as making you really sit down and question and do that shadow work and figure out, okay, what part of me, has been okay with this, and why, why is this here? Why do I feel this way or believe this way? And
Mhm.
really trying to get to the root of it, so that you can shift it and heal it, um, and finally make a decision to choose differently, because that's all a belief is. It's a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice that you made to believe,
Right.
um, you know, something that somebody else said about you, or you chose this belief based on something somebody else did, or maybe something you did or said. Um, but that's the thing about a belief. You can always change your mind. The choice is there. So when you go back and find the root of these things, you can just say, you know what? That's it. I choose differently. I don't have
And
to
that's a
lie anymore.
right, and, that's a conversation, that I had with Onyx this weekend, was that, you know, everyone everyone has their own path in life,
Mhm.
and mine is constantly evolving, constantly changing. I'm always learning, I'm always growing, evolving my practice, my beliefs, I don't, I think I started like most people. I started with Wicca and realized that that wasn't my path. That isn't what I believe. And, the more I've learned and the more I've grown, um, I've developed, this belief system that, I mean, kicks ass to me because,
You get
I,
results.
I totally get results. And, maybe my being oblivious to a lot of things has to do with, maybe part of my belief system, you know,
Right. Right.
ignoring the negativity, ignoring I don't ignore the problems. I deal with them and I move on. They're blips in my lifetime. Problems, stresses, or what have you are a blip in time. When you look at your life and the average lifespan of a person, one bad week out of how many weeks have you lived? How many weeks are you going to live?
Right.
Don't let one bad blip, you know, change your mindset and run you down a course that, you know, isn't going to take you anywhere.
Right.
But as for helping you understand and see where you've gone, what are some of your recommendations? I know you like journaling.
What? That was a confusing question. I'm sorry.
What are your recommendations to see, your progress, what you've been doing, results?
Okay. So, like, to boost your magical confidence. Okay. So, first
Yes.
thing, um, I mean, I prefer meditation because I think it builds that strong connection. And once you have that connection and you get some kind of proof, and honestly, I don't see a problem with, um, questioning, spirit or source or whatever, God or goddess you've chosen to work with. Um,
Mhm.
I don't see a problem with asking them to somehow prove themselves to you. Um,
Okay.
you know, I, but again, I think it starts with, building that connection through meditation. But even if that's not your route, asking for signs, um, very clear signs that you will understand. Um, I think that's an option, and that starts to build your belief. And then, of course, journaling experiences like that, where you get those signs or you get those messages, you get those intuitive hits, and then it works out and it happens that way. And recording, when you have done spell work and it's worked
Mhm.
out, when you have done, even if it's just in the form of a prayer, if that prayer was in some way, shape, or form answered, I believe that is magical as well, and it should definitely go into that journal.
Right.
um, and there again, I also think it's a good thing to keep a separate journal of the magic that you're doing. um, what you've used, when you've done the magic, everything so far as the date, the time, the moon phase, um, supplies used, the spell, the intention, the energy, what you felt when you were doing the spell work,
Mhm.
how you felt after you did the spell work, even, I think is relevant. And recording all of that and leaving space so that, when it comes to fruition, you can go back, and even if it's just a little bit, right? Like, you're not even recording the whole thing that you put in your journal, as far as, this is all the cool stuff that happened or this came to fruition, but just so that you can note, um, this spell happened, and it happened on such and such day, um, so that you can see how long did that take for that spell to work, you
Right.
know. Um, but all those little nuances, I think, help to keep track and help build that confidence. Um, I think that's a big part of it. Um, and again, just start simple with trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, and seeing where that takes you. And just say yes to it, because that's going to get stronger. And, recording when that worked out, when you were right, remembering those times, so that you'll remember to always go back and say yes to your intuition, instead of just brushing it off or talking yourself out of it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, like we did this weekend. Yes, yes.
Yes. So, should I tell a story?
Yeah, tell a story. Story time. Gather
Story
around,
time.
kitties.
Okay, so we were at the Beltane Festival at the Pagan Path in Reedsville, North Carolina this weekend, doing a vendor event. And we had
Mhm.
two of those, tents, the 10 by 10 tents. And it was the second day. Um, so the third actual day, because we went Friday to set up, and then we
Right.
did the thing on Saturday. So here it is Sunday. And we're sitting there and we're kind of waiting for everything to get started. And I had a thought drop in of, should probably secure the tent because it's kind of windy. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And
Right.
then I just let it go. Like, my mind just went on to something else. Well, come to find out, sister, at the same time,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was sitting there in the tent. I was evaluating the wind. That is honestly what I was doing. I'm like, that's kind of hard. That's a hard wind. But I'm, looking around the tent, and I talked myself out of securing it down because, no, I think the tent's heavy enough. No, we have enough weight on it, I believe. I think we're going to be fine. And then what happened next?
Yeah. So, just a few minutes after we have thought this and not had a conversation about it, neither one of us said anything to each other, even though we both got the hit.
Yeah.
Both the tents went flying.
They did. They
To the
did.
point
But
that I was not even surprised. I was just like, sister, because I kind of already knew it was going to happen because I was literally just thinking about it.
yeah, and I didn't even, I didn't panic, the same way as you because I'm the type of person that, oh, my tent is trying to blow away. Let me just go fix this.
Oh no,
You
I
know,
wasn't panicking. I was expecting it. That's why I was just like, sister,
well,
like I
normally,
didn't even
yeah,
move as quickly as you. You moved a whole lot faster than I did. I was still kind of sitting there before I was even like, oh shit, I should probably get up and do something. Like,
well,
those didn't all
normally,
register.
right. And normally in times past, if that had happened, you would have been like, oh my God, oh my God. You wouldn't have been as calm as and collected.
I was pretty
Uh,
calm.
yeah, you were very calm. I was very surprised. And you were very much, I think you took on my persona that day because you were like, okay, let's just get this fixed and done because that's a problem arises. Okay, let's get it fixed, done, taken care of, and move on. And you were very much in that moment of, all right, we're going to secure it down. You knew right where the stakes were at because I was trying to hold it down because somebody had come over to help me and I didn't want their help to be in vain. So I'm like, where are the
Right.
stakes?
Yep, I knew
I want
right
to
where
get
those
this
were. I had made a
right.
mental
So,
note of where they were
yeah,
at.
I think I had made the mental note, but in that moment, I'm like, I didn't know if they had gotten moved. I knew I hadn't moved them, but it's just, where are they? Normally, I am the cool, calm, and collected person, but I think you were a little bit more calm, cool, calm, and collected than I was.
At that moment, yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, this is a perfect example of, even we still slip up and don't completely listen to ourselves or intuition or our hits of, hey, you should probably go do something about this.
Right. It's like the weekend before, I was going on a camping trip. I volunteer 1 or 2 weekends out of the year where I go and I cook for, you know, that's over 100 people. And that's what I do. But it always involves camping when I do this. And my thoughts before leaving was I should probably grab my blanket. I'm probably going to want a blanket. And I left out, didn't grab it. I talked myself out of it. And of course, I'm there that night. And, it's, what do we always say? If you thought it, you should have done it.
Yes, if you think it, do it.
If you think it, do it. And I mean, I have tried to make it, um, even if it seems crazy, I have tried to
Yeah.
follow that philosophy of if I think it, do it. But of course, I talked myself out of it once again the weekend
Right.
before.
Yes. Yes. So that's the whole thing. Like,
And
when you think it, do it, and don't talk yourself out of it. There's a reason that it has popped into your mind.
right.
And I am also trying to get a lot better with, um, if you think it, do it, because I historically have been bad for talking myself out of it. I've gotten a little bit better with that, but now my
Mhm.
problem is I just kind of dismiss it rather than
Oh
talk.
no.
So I have to stop doing that too. Um, so it totally happens, and it happens to everyone.
Right.
All right. So did you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered journaling to just track your results.
Mhm.
Uh, Doing the banishing the negativity, looking at your mindset, just evaluating your life and where you're at in the moment.
Right.
Um, Being thankful for what you do have to put yourself into that positive and thankful mindset.
Right.
Um, no, I think, and I mean, something else that you could maybe do that's, on a smaller scale, if you're not into journaling, do a dream board. Make a dream board, something that you can look back on and see. where, you know, if you do spell work for something and, writing is not my thing. I despise journaling. I hate writing. I'm not a bad writer. It's just not something I choose to sit down and do. Um, so where I wouldn't be willing to journal my spell works. I would be willing to, either write one word or to put a picture on a board or in a book of what I've done
So
to go
that
back and
almost
review
sounds like
later.
you could even do like a scrapbook.
Right. A scrapbook of your spells. I
Right.
mean, if you're not willing to do anything else, I think that gives you something that you can turn back to at a later date and time. Because I think, we've discussed. I'm one of those that I wish for something and then I forget about it, or I'll do the work and then I forget about it. And it's not until I look back, you know, sometimes years later, I'm like, oh, I got all of this. Oh, I am there. I got that job. I got that house. I got that car.
Right. Well, I wanted to share a few things. So, this is from Solitary Witch by Silver Ravenwolf. Um,
Hmm.
and this is general rules of successful magic. Now, of course, when we here at the Witch Source say rules, we use that very loosely, more to be kind of like suggestions, um,
More like guidelines.
guidelines, because we don't really have a whole lot of rules per se.
Right.
But this is her list that I thought people might find interesting. And number one is every action has an equal reaction. So you really want to think long and hard about what the spell work is that you're doing, why you are doing it, what results that you want, and, you know, what the potential outcomes could be, right? So again, I don't say limit the how, but
Hmm.
just have a general idea of, okay, if you're asking for this, how is this going to affect your life, the people in your life, the people around you, um, all the different things. Really look at the cause and effect.
Right.
Um, Number two, the longer you practice, the more adept you become. So again, just because you feel like it's not working at first, keep going, keep practicing, keep trying, because the more you practice and do magic, the better you'll get and the stronger you'll get. But if you just give up when you first get started, you won't ever make any progress.
Right.
Number three, as best you can, keep your thoughts and actions pure, which I think goes back to kind of like what we were talking about with, trying to stay positive and not let the negative creep in. And that includes that doubt. Really try to push it out of your mind when it shows up, or try to figure out why the doubt's there so you can finally get rid of it for good.
Right.
Um,
And I think that would be a big thing.
right. Number four, what you think you create. So again, the mindset. Number five, what you believe you will manifest. So again, that goes back to, do you believe you are worthy and deserving of it? Or do you believe that it will really happen for you? And if not, figure out why and really work to try to shift that. Number six, uh, magic works better if added to a spiritual foundation. So, and she's saying it doesn't even matter what your spiritual foundation is.
Hmm.
For me, it was that connection, and having that dialogue, and getting answers and seeing results. But, you know, I think it does help to have some kind of spiritual foundation because, again, magic is a system, it's not a religion. So,
Right.
you know, you want to add it to some kind of spiritual or religious system belief. Number seven, magic does not replace hard work. So you can't just do the spell work and expect everything to happen. You still, if you're doing magic for a job, you still have to go out and fill out the applications and go to the interviews and do all of the legwork. You can't just do a spell and expect stuff to show up. You still have to do the work.
Right. Like the joke about the person who keeps praying to win the lottery and, well, go buy a ticket. You're not
Right.
going to
They
win
never buy the
the,
ticket.
right. Do the
Right.
work.
Number 8, do not use magic for illegal gain, and don't use anything in a circle that might have been stolen. Yeah, because stealing's just kind of bad. You shouldn't do it, but that's my opinion.
Illegal gains. What?
I guess if you're doing like money laundering or some kind of fraud.
To increase your money in money laundering. We don't think like this, so
Right, that's why I'm like, I don't know. That's the only thing I can assume that she's talking about here. I don't know. So, another thing, some people will actually use a divination tool before doing their spell work to kind of get a feel for if it's the right thing to do or not, if it will be successful. So that's something that you could add in and try, whether that's cards or pendulum. You can ask questions about the spell work that you're about to do, and see what kind of answers that you get back.
I know that, we've done that where we've read cards. I don't know if I can use my pendulum because he's currently attached to the wall so that he can't run away.
Right. You're holding him hostage.
I so am holding him hostage. I have to post a picture.
Okay, and then here's a section that she has about why magic sometimes fails. And I think this is a good thing to mention, which we've kind of already talked about. If you're not willing to change your perception about some things, along with your belief system and your mindset, then it's probably not going to work. Right. Because you do have to be open. You do have to be willing to receive. You have to believe it's going to work. All those things. So you want to be able to expand, your belief and your viewpoints, or at least suspend, until the spell has time to work, what you believe is possible. You do the spell and then you walk away from it and get caught back in that negative cycle. And you don't believe that change is actually possible for you, or that something good can actually happen for you. If you're doing the magic and then walking away from it with that mindset, it's not going to work. Some other things are you might have lost your focus during the spell work ritual. Your mind might have wandered off into left field and you kind of just confused everything that you were doing, or never really finished the spell work and just kind of walked away from it. Another thing is you're maybe being too impatient. You haven't given enough time for it to work. You did get the magic. It did work, but you missed it.
Right.
And she also mentions that if the magic somehow touches larger groups of people, it can take longer to work.
I can definitely see that.
And again,
because you've got more moving parts.
Right. If you've got several moving parts and pieces, yeah, it's going to kind of take a little bit longer to get all that into play. Again, there's the mention of magic cannot replace the physical action. So if you didn't do your part, then the magic couldn't do its part. Again, this goes back to how we're talking about at the beginning, that the magic somehow will interfere with your spiritual plan. So that's where I kind of go back to where I mentioned, spirit knows the future and knows what's best for you. So maybe what you're asking for will take you in the wrong direction, or, isn't as good as what you asked for, or
Right.
isn't as good as what you could get. And then the last thing she mentions is that magic always tries to create some sort of a balance. And again, I think that goes back to your belief system.
Right.
So, but I thought those were some interesting points to share. And yeah, hopefully that has been helpful. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you do any of the spell work for, banishing the negativity or doubt, or spell work to increase your confidence, even your magical confidence. We would love to hear how that goes and what you think. And we'd also love to know if you have any episode requests.
Or if you have any questions on what we've gone over.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you can reach us. It's the email is thewitchsource@gmail.com. Don't forget, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We'd love for you to like, follow, subscribe, and share. We really appreciate it. And wherever you're listening, if you would leave us a positive review, if you're able to, we would really appreciate that. And check out the website, thewitchsource.com. You can book private readings and check out all of the things available in the shop. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, and don't forget, we've got the Witch Source Society, which is our page for, getting together community questions, answers. You can come hang out with us there.
And that is the Facebook group, the Witch Source Society.
Yes.
All right. I think that's it for us. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, stay magical.
Bye.